Hey, this is Ken Casey from the Dropkick Murphys, and I love the Grandstanders! Take it away, kid!
Welcome to another edition of Grandstanders Live. I'm your host, Scott Kerman, and I'm joined by my usual cohorts, the Professor, Russ Stevens, Uncle Joe McLaughlin, and he's Milton's first son, Tim Hoey. Well, we have another great show for you tonight, so boys, let's get it started. Well, breaking news from the Grandstanders Live desk. If you watched the whole game today, well, I'm a little concerned that maybe your remote doesn't work, or
you had really nothing else to do.
So we got down to 7-1, and Drew Pomeranz had just had the worst appearance in the history of Major Leagues. You had to turn it off. Then all of a sudden, you see on the alerts that Blake Swihart drives in 2 runs. It's 7-4 in the 8th. And okay, maybe I'll turn it on.
Right.
And next thing you know, guys, in a game that they tried to throw, going back to the 1919 Black Sox scandal, we literally tried to throw this game. The Red Sox win 9-8, and I would say this is the most improbable victory of the year.
I mean, we tried to lose that game on multiple levels. Cora said last night after the game, if you have Red Sox on your fantasy team tomorrow, you're going to be very upset with me. He basically said, I'm going to play the scrubs.
Leading off J.
We get behind, they throw Pomeranz in, who could not be worse.
You can't even pitch him garbage time because he can't even get any garbage out.
And then the guy who hits the home run is the 37-year-old former superstar, Brandon Phillips, called up at the last minute. Who's just happy to be in the majors at this point in time, hits a 2-run homer for the win.
That was a borderline AAA team.
Yeah, absolutely. And Brandon Phillips is only on the team was because he stayed so long in Rhode Island, and the season was over, and they let him play.
You know how many times I've turned the Red Sox off this year and gone to bed, and in the morning I say, Siri, who won the Red Sox last night? And the Red Sox won 10-9.
Crazy.
And how many times has that happened this year?
A lot.
It's
quite a few.
This is a.
What's the stat? What did you stat?
Okay, so all right, my theory of when we're talking about how to correct baseball, and I said that the game should end in the 7th inning.
Slaughter rule.
If there's a certain amount of run differential. So let's use the statistic 6 runs, which was today. We were losing 7-1 going into the 8th inning.
Teams were
0 and what?
487 losses
this
in this
year.
season.
0. So it was absolutely useless to play those games any
but it would
further.
have. Your rule,
Mookie Betts, is
until
the one
today.
Out.
Right, exactly. Right. But it shows you that the game should not have been played further. But how improbable this was statistically, that it was basically 0.
Your rule would have deprived us of the best victory of the year. Why are you taking things away from me?
No, that's fine. It just proves the fact they shouldn't be playing these games.
Yeah.
Now I know this.
Let's not go
Let
down
everyone
that
get
rabbit
home
hole
early
again.
and beat the
The
traffic.
last time my hair fell out of my head, I was so confused.
Oh,
by
come
the
on.
end
I'm
of it.
just here to help. That's all I am. All right, so
Oh, the
boys.
skip an inning one? Oh, yeah.
To show you what Grandstanders Live and how much we're cutting edge and how much we're assisting the Red Sox, I took a call yesterday from Ian Kinsler, and he thanked me for the last 2 weeks.
You were the motivating
ripping
force.
a new one,
Well,
and saying I inspired him, and look how well he's
The
played.
rule for the Red Sox is your goal is to get to the top of Scotty's crap list.
Exactly.
And then
You've gotta
when
break
he's
through.
bashing, they finally watch the show. And then they go, I'm going to show that SOB. And like,
That's
they
half
rise
the
to
roster
top.
this year, actually. Kinsler, J.D. Martinez sucked and didn't deserve 10 more
He
games.
was Derek Clark.
It's the only reason Brock Holt's in the league.
Yeah,
Right.
man. That's right, exactly.
And the most recent one was Ian Kinsler. You know, has
Scott,
played all his
we
6
have the
games.
man sitting to my right to thank for this season.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's right.
Thank God.
97 victories.
Either
it's
you're
all
always
me.
wrong on the motivating
My back
force.
hurts from carrying this team.
Yeah, so by that logic, we'll get to them later. The Patriots are going to go 12 and 4,
Patriots
right?
are going to win the
No,
Super
they're
Bowl.
not. Or we'll get to the Patriots
The
preview
more
later.
Scotty bashes the Patriots,
right.
the better
Bring
they
it
are.
on.
That's right.
Bring it
Well, you
on.
wait. 'Cause
Yeah.
Then they're going to be really good. All right, so to Dave Dombrowski, look, he had a great July. I'll give it to him. He got Steve Pierce.
Yeah.
He got Ian Kinsler, who's finally come through. And he got Uvalde, who I think ultimately will prove to be very valuable in the playoffs. But did he sit on his
You know
hands
what it
in
is?
July
You
as
know
far
what
as the
it is?
bullpen?
It's a perfect woman
Oh, boy.
with a gigantic pimple on their face.
Who,
the bullpen,
Uvalde?
the bullpen.
Yeah, the bullpen. I think
The
that's
bullpen.
right.
Yeah, but
You
right,
know, I think he wanted to get a waiver wire guy through, and there was no way he was getting
But
through
didn't he,
the Yankees
just to Timmy's
or
point,
Oakland.
but he knew that he was going to be in first place during the post waiver
Or
wire. He was
wanted to
never
be.
going to see those.
with the best record in
the best
baseball.
record
so
in
he's
There's
gonna-
a blatant need that,
Yeah.
that either that stud, get that 2 lefties out, come in, get 2 lefties
That's
out
right.
guy,
Yeah.
or just, I would have given up a lot to get just a 1-inning stud.
So do you think he regrets it now? I know, obviously, publicly he does. He says we're fine. He can't because he can't be throwing. The
We
current
would
bullpen
have
under
loved
the-
an Addison Reed this year. We really would have come.
Well, we needed a guy, ultimately,
An
like
eighth inning
Zach
guy?
Britton. Well, obviously he hasn't
Yeah.
pitched well for the Yankees, but at the
Yeah,
very
no,
least, going
I
out
think
and
Tim
getting
is.
a guy like that.
I think Tim is right. It's the only blemish, and it's really hard to figure out why they didn't try to take care of it. The only possible explanation is that they knew they were so far ahead of the Yankees that once you get to the playoffs, you're going to have 1 or 2 starters convert to the bullpen.
Yeah.
So you sit there and say, all right, well, we don't need to win games in September or maybe even August at this point. So maybe we just wait for the playoffs and convert
and
those
maybe
guys.
to Scotty's earlier point, Evaldi will be more valuable with that really great stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
98
Evaldi's
mile
gonna
per hour
be good in the
fastball.
bullpen.
But Evaldi's
2 or
like,
3
Evaldi's
innings.
like a Jekyll and Hyde. There was those first couple of
Yeah.
games. My God, I said, how did we ever get this guy? And then
But he
goes
throws
out-
strikes.
But that's
I
the
know he
bullpen,
does,
Timmy.
but I
That's what
know.
bullpen guys are. Or they be starters.
Who is this guy? Is he the star?
Yeah.
Is he the bum? I haven't figured it
Just
out yet.
to take the pressure of starting off him. Tell him we just want 2 great innings out of you.
If he can come
Short
through,
spurts where he's pitching 100
if
miles
he
an
can
hour.
come through and accomplish and be that guy, it'll be gigantic.
Now, we talked about Stephen Wright as the worst millennial athlete of all time. No show has ripped him more than
The
we
most
have.
entitled.
Even
That
when
means he's gonna rise.
Even when he's not in anyone's consciousness, we've mentioned
Yeah.
Stephen Wright.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, but all of a sudden, Stephen Wright has come back, and just thanks Stephen so much for coming back because you understand why you got paid. You actually have to work for the Red Sox, and he's looked pretty good, fellas.
Yeah,
In
the
his
other night he looked
return.
fine.
So I ask you, what we never considered possible a few months ago. Is Stephen Wright in the mix for the bullpen? in
Can
the
you
playoff
count on a
roster?
knuckleballer? That's the question.
Yeah,
Can
that's
you?
the
They
big
are-
question because they tend to walk guys. Now,
More than Pomeranz, maybe.
Oh yeah, Pomeranz is I think done at this
yeah, he's
point.
done.
But the one thing about a knuckleballer is when he gets the rhythm and when they get going, not only are they unhittable, but they can be unhittable for 2, 3, 4, 5 innings. So the big thing about if Wright is in there and has it going, you don't need an 8th inning guy. You pitch him through the 8th until you get to the 9th.
Now you wonder if in the bullpen if they can see if he's got it going or not.
It's a great question.
I don't know, but
Can you get a read on the guy?
Yeah, it's a
But
great
this-
I
question.
imagine the catcher would know more than anyone.
Yeah.
He
Those
could
guys,
just tell you.
they either have it going on or they got nothing.
But the problem with knuckleball pitchers, guys, are he could be pitching great, and all of a sudden 3 2/3.
Wild pitch.
Next thing you know, hit a guy, wild pitch,
Yeah.
right? Walk a
Cora,
guy,
look,
home
I
run,
think-
and within 10 seconds he's giving up 4 runs.
I think whenever Wright is in the game, you're going to have a guy in the bullpen ready to go behind
Right.
him because you want to make that change. If he doesn't have
Yeah,
it or if he
you gotta
loses it,
be
he loses
there.
it. But let's remember, in 2004, who was the unsung most valuable player in that in that Yankee series was Wakefield,
Yeah,
who
especially-
came in and saved the bullpen. So what if the Red Sox are getting bombed in the second game of the the ALCS or something like that, and you send Wright in for 6 innings. It could be on the backside of a loss.
Yeah, and other than Evaldi, you really don't have the Barnes, the Hembrys of the world. They're not pitching
go
multiple
long.
innings.
No.
So he's the only guy, Stephen Wright, who could pitch a multiple innings and be effective.
So here's the question for you. The other guys that can pitch multiple innings are Velasquez and Johnson, but those guys have taken a dip recently.
Yeah, I don't see them on the playoff roster at all. I just don't think they bring anything to the table.
What do you think of Hembree
Johnson's
at this
just
point?
too average.
Hembry's a guy you have to hand it to him because there wasn't great expectations. He was pretty good last year.
Yeah.
And he's been pretty good this year.
He's found some nice little spots when he gets his groove going.
Yeah.
Timmy, he pitches
Yeah.
almost every game.
But
Yeah.
he whenever they put him in the high leverage situations, he loses it, and that's the end of him.
Well, he pitched well last
he's
night,
better
though. That
in
was a
the
high
like
leverage.
7th inning.
Yeah.
That's his niche,
Well-
and he's good at it.
Every team in the playoffs have Heath Hembrys, and
Yes.
every team needs a Heath Hembry to get some outs in the playoffs. Would you agree?
Yeah.
You know, we're hyper-focused on us. Like, what are the blemishes on our competition? Do
Oh,
they have more blemishes than
Well,
we
the
do?
Yankees don't have starters. Our starters are
Much
much better
yeah.
than them. I think for Houston, Verlander has not pitched well recently, and they definitely hit a trough there. And I don't think their bullpen is out of this world. Their closer just looks like red meat to me whenever he comes
Speaking
in.
of closers, Kimbrel might be getting his mojo back.
Well, we
Looked
hope
like
so.
it.
No, because he's been terrible.
If he doesn't, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
Because you can't focus on Kimbrel when you're talking about the Boston Red Sox because you have to just assume that it's going to be all right once
the
we
common
get there.
theme in World Series winners is unhittable closer.
Well, absolutely, and Kimbrel has that
That's right.
potential. And it's been a long season. The Red Sox have been up the whole time. It's tough to stay inspired, would you say, boys?
I think that's right. Yeah.
Now, will Kimbrel is he a possible 2-winning guy?
He hasn't. He hasn't
No.
proven
I
that.
know he hasn't been.
You even asked for an extra out, and he completely
know.
loses it.
Yeah.
But is he willing to reach down and do it?
At the very least, a 4-out.
He has
5-out
not
guy
shown
last
that
night.
at
I
all.
know,
Yeah,
Every
look-
time he's tried.
What's
and
wrong
they've
with these
tried
guys?
a
What's
dozen
wrong with these
times.
guys?
I know.
Well,
Look,
they
I
can't-
think he
come
would
on.
do it. No, I think he
You're a
would.
big boy.
I
Come in
think he would do it. Look,
You know what
there's
pisses
some.
me off, Russell? He doesn't want to do it.
No, that's not true. He's
Kimbrel's always taking the ball.
Yeah,
he hasn't
no,
begged
no,
out
no,
once.
he
But
wants
they
to do
gripe about it. They
No,
gripe
no,
about
he
an extra
doesn't.
guy.
I haven't heard Peep
I
ever
don't
but
know.
with Kimbrel. Kimbrel's a good soldier.
You don't
He'll
hear
go
them?
do it. He just when he sits down, it's usually the game is over and he's being congratulated. They're just not used to doing that.
You haven't heard gripes about him kind of griping about
He
not-
doesn't
not
like
liking
going in
to
with
do it?
anyone on base. Doesn't like to go in.
I've never heard him say that.
So
Well,
all right,
I don't hear him say it, but you hear grumblings like in the background from the reporters
Maybe.
and the beat.
well,
guys.
there's grumblings from Alex Cora about Rafael Devers. I don't think that Cora is
Yeah.
the biggest Rafael Devers fan
think that's
in
right.
2018. And if you're starting to think about the playoff roster a little bit, I'm going to predict that Rafael Devers will not be on the 25-man roster. Would you guys
Ooh,
agree?
That'd be a big upset.
I don't think it's a crazy notion.
But yeah, you're right. You're
I
right,
think
Russ.
it depends on how he behaves himself, how he performs in these next 20 games. I think he's going to get a bunch of chances because they're not going to want to play Nunez. If Nunez is the backup, Nunez, you got a baby a
Phillips?
little bit, and maybe Phillips.
Maybe Phillips has put himself in the mix with the
Devers
couple
terrifies
games
me
like
at
this.
third base. Terrifies me.
And also, let's be honest, they want some discipline at the plate in the playoffs. Every up at bat is important, and Devers gives up a lot of up at bats.
If you're Cora and you're taking a look at this lineup, you don't want to get dragged down by Devers in a late inning blunder. You're looking around and you look at they're so solid at every position, right? That he's the weak link. He's the guy who could drag you down with a bonehead play.
You got
in
two
the
outs,
ninth
ground
inning.
ball to
Yeah.
third, overthrow. Now there's a guy
Right.
on second.
And you don't want to have Heath Hembry or the
Yeah,
Matt
just-
Barnes of the world
just
get
like
4
Will
outs.
Middlebrooks did in the last
So
in 13 World Series.
Doesn't it then come down to does his potential as a pinch hitter late in a game outweigh his
I do see him
liability?
as a pinch hitter.
Yeah, but that's tough.
big
Look,
question.
there aren't too many 21-year-olds that can pinch hit. It's
Yeah.
probably not in their DNA.
But he can, he's proven, and I'm not just going to go back to that one big home run he
The
had
Chapman.
off of Chapman.
Yeah.
But this guy has proven he can hit anybody.
no, you're right. That's a great point. He can hit good pitching,
pitching,
and
yeah.
that's what you're going to see.
It's going to be a
lot
very
of.
interesting decision that they make.
I had not even considered him being left off.
Yeah,
All right,
possible.
so, boys, would you say that I won't obviously the catching situation we've had a lot better. individual catchers in the Veritek's and the Fisks of the world, but that we're the deepest we are at the catcher position with Swihart, Vasquez, and Leon than we ever have been with the Boston Red Sox.
Oh, in my lifetime, and I've been around 65 years, so
Even more
Never.
so than Doug Mirabelli and Jason Varitek?
Right.
Only one of them can play at a time.
Yeah, there wasn't a drop off at all when Veritek wasn't
I've talked
playing.
about this a lot. I love teams, especially in the playoffs, that carry three catchers, especially a guy like Swihart who's got position flexibility because you can pinch hit for a catcher late in a game.
Right.
Because these teams are petrified with only two catchers to pinch hit for a catcher. The other catcher gets hurt. You're done. Like Brock Holt's your catcher in an extra inning game.
Brock Holt.
And Brock Holt can do anything.
it always comes back to
He can do
Brock.
anything.
Oh, he can do anything. Yeah,
Russell,
not
that's
but he can
well
do
thought out.
anything.
So the
Yeah,
thing about
right.
Swihart is that he gives you, he played right field today.
Now, who's a pinch
king of
hitter
the
amongst
double
those
switch.
guys?
Well, Swihart's your
Swihart's
best.
Swihart's a pinch
Swihart's
hitter,
your
right?
best hitter.
probably.
Yeah, right.
He's your pinch hitter,
Yeah.
probably.
That gives even more depth.
Right.
So Swihart makes the 25-man roster.
I think absolutely.
Oh, I think so, yeah.
Yeah. The question is, does Vasquez make the 20 to make the playoff?
If
race?
you're going Vasquez or Devers,
I would say the question is, does Brock Holt make the
I would keep.
25-man
That's
roster?
Timmy asked a great question.
What's
If
that?
it comes down to Vasquez or Devers on the final roster, who do you take?
Oh, I think you have to take Vasquez.
I would take Vasquez.
Because there's just more options that you have. You know,
now if there's an injury, do you get to replace that guy?
On the roster for this, yes. If there's an
Yes.
injury on the 25-man roster for the next game, you can. Absolutely, yeah.
all right, so boys, we gotta go. All right, so we got to finish the Red Sox, but it's so exciting right now. How could you not lead with the Boston Red Sox?
Yeah.
Well, we have to do our Patriots preview, and I want to start with, first of all, I can't ever truly recover from the Super Bowl last year, and it hurts me even more today than it's ever hurt me, and it's going to hurt you all more and more as the time goes on. But our wonderful defense last year in the Super Bowl, the guys that didn't even make the roster this year,
Half the team.
Lee, Richards, Flowers, and you had a nice point before the
Johnson,
show,
Batamosi.
and Bandamosi. These are guys
Malcolm
that,
Butler. No, there's a lot of guys gone from that.
No, but as far as guys who had more than 15 snaps in the Super Bowl
Yeah, a
in
lot
the
of them are
defensive
gone.
position are gone, cut,
Yeah.
not even on another team.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question,
How
though.
many?
So it'd be
About 5
four
or 6,
guys.
yeah. But isn't that a good thing? Like they
Oh,
were
it's excellent.
right. I mean, that
Get rid of
that gives
trash.
me reason to believe that the defense this year is going to be better than the defense last year, because
can't
they've
be
gone
worse.
through and they've scraped out a bunch of guys who couldn't play.
can't be worse.
Right.
No, it just shows you how poorly that team was constructed defensively last year.
Sometimes
And then
when
we
you
have-
take out the trash, it's just to fill up that trash
I
bucket
like
again.
some of these new defensive linemen.
I do too.
I don't like
Where
that.
have we? But I didn't mention any defensive linemen of that
No,
group.
true.
Okay, where did we replace these guys? Okay, we didn't replace them with the top players. We replaced them with the
Well,
same garbage that we had last year.
I would argue that one of the biggest sort of unheralded losses last year for the playoffs in the Super Bowl was Jonathan Jones was playing a great slot corner. He got injured and he was out for the year. That was a big loss.
It was a big loss.
Right, so he's back. He's your starting slot corner this year.
No, I would say I would agree with you only because we had such poor players. That
Okay,
played in
that's
replacement.
fine. That's
but it's not that Jones is such a wonderful player. Here
But I
we
think
go.
he's
Yeah,
an
he's
upgrade.
not-
But he's an upgrade. I mean, he's
So we
a
have
better
McCourty,
player than
Chung,
Right.
two star players.
That's right.
We have.
Well, I wouldn't
the
call
kid
Chung
we-
a star player.
I would say these
He's
are
getting
proven,
a little older
proven
than
veterans, Scott.
These are
He-
proven
yeah,
veterans.
but no, he's not a star. He's a
All
nice
right, we
contributor.
got
I mean,
the kid we got from Buffalo for the big money.
Gilmore.
Gilmore.
Jonathan Jones is a good slot
Jonathan
corner.
Jones.
And then the weakness, the big question,
Eric
which
Rowe.
is Eric Rowe on the other corner, but he played well for a lot of the time last year. He didn't play well in the
I
Super
think
Bowl,
they'll
but
be
he played
mixing
well.
and matching
We got our
about 5
linebacker
corners
back
in
who we
there.
had lost all last year.
That's right, Timmy. See, this is
Hightower.
why
Nothing's going to
Timmy on.
pain
Dr.
you
Negative,
more.
Dr.
Nothing
Negative
is
doesn't
going
wanna
to
hear
pain
it.
you more than
Hightower
a-
is not going to play 19 games. Get it through. Never has, never will.
Just
he's
understand,
back.
Patriots
Hang
games.
on.
Patriots games last year were not enjoyable to watch. They were not
because-
fun,
but
and
Patriots-
they're going to be less fun because that defense.
I remember
spits a
sitting
bit.
here maybe exactly 52 weeks ago and talking about the greatest Patriots team ever assembled in the
That's
history, and they went out and they got
did.
smoked by Kansas City.
We did.
So
we thought they were going to go
I am
undefeated.
kind of psyched that we're going in with very low expectations.
I agree.
And he's
What
going to
are
build
low
it up.
expectations? What are you talking about? You guys all think they're going to the Super Bowl.
You think they're going to go 9-7?
I didn't mention
No,
that
no,
yet.
no. I don't have.
All right,
So-
okay.
When the predictions come in.
Oh, you're doing that already. All right. I just want to thank Cyrus Jones for his contribution to the team for the last 3 years. Don't worry, he was
Yeah,
only our top
Did he
pick
find a home?
3 years ago.
No.
Find a home?
Nobody, I mean, he's in
Yeah, he got picked up right away.
Look, you got to call Osiris. That was a horrible pick.
horrible pick. It
was a horrible pick.
And he was bad from the get-go. He never looked good in pads.
How does your scouting staff miss on so many guys?
On the second round, we miss
My
a
God,
lot
out
of second
all
rounders.
the thousands of football players
Yeah.
out there, and I mean, they're combing the planet for these guys,
Yeah.
and you just take a swing and you whiff.
I
so
think
bad.
part of it is he has his favorite college coaches, and he goes to the well again and again with Urban Meyer, with Nick Saban.
Yeah,
you know,
right,
with
exactly.
the
How many Rutgers
Schiano
guys
from
we got
Rutgers.
on
Now,
that
by the way, a fair amount of those Rutgers guys did
Yeah.
hit, right?
When they
I
get
mean,
drafted, you go, oh no.
yeah, you covered your eyes, right?
Well, they
But
still
Harmon,
have Duron
Harmon and the McCourty. I
McCourty.
mean, those guys hit, right? There's no escaping
You know what? Here's the
that.
thing about the Patriots. They're never sexy looking, other than Brady and Gronk. I mean, they're
Yeah.
never sexy. Like, they're not on ESPN. They got this guy, they got that guy. But boy, they're there every year.
I know, but this year is different. All right, boys, I would ask you, and at the very least,
Wait, that almost went
at
over
the
my
very
head.
least, you homers, would you agree that the wide receiving core is absolutely embarrassing and pathetic for an NFL
they
team?
never
The
sh-
wide receiving core. We're not
Yes.
going to talk
There's
about
a lot of colleges
Okay.
with probably a better.
Yeah,
better
absolutely.
score.
And now you tell me, what has Des Bryant done? Okay, that no,
He's old
that-
and
that-
slow, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, what has he done that we can't take a flyer on?
Oh
him?
no, I don't think.
I don't
his
think it's
problems
anything
are-
off field. We've
Yeah.
brought in worse guys than Des Bryant.
Yeah.
Trust
Absolutely.
me.
But
Yeah,
is he give me the ball guy too much? Like, I mean, that would be.
Oh, we'll
to
give
me-
him the ball
to-
if he could
no,
get
but
it.
To me, you know, a guy in the locker room complaining about, I only got thrown the ball 3 times today. That would be like the worst thing that the Patriots could ever have somebody
Yeah, but
saying.
he's
And
not
No,
going
he
to have
led
that
the league in
cachet to me.
drops.
He's not going to have. He's going to come in there, and I assume
But
he's
Woody,
pretty humbled
does
right
he
now,
change
right?
his stripes that quickly? I mean, he's
He
always
led the
been,
league in drops last year. That's what's the problem.
I'm just talking about the current roster as it sits right now.
We could
You're
use
telling me
anything.
that we couldn't use Des Bryant?
We need a boundary receiver.
physically, yes.
Yeah, you need a boundary receiver.
What he brings in his me attitude, is that enough to offset his physical abilities?
I
But
think
you're-
he's
like you're
being.
saying, he's leading the league.
I
in
think
drops.
he's being humbled pretty well
Yeah,
here
sure.
right now.
I sure do. Yeah. No, it never should have gotten. Look, it never should have gotten here, and it kind of goes back to your point, missing on draft picks. Bill Belichick,
don't have
it's
top-tier
empirical
talent.
at this point in time. He can't draft wide receivers.
No, he cannot.
He can't. Like, he misses every time, and the Steelers hit every time. The
Yeah.
Green Bay Packers hit every time.
Yeah.
We-
Defensive
we-
backs,
we-
he has a problem with.
Is
we
it
miss
because
every
of our
time.
complex system?
Well,
mean,
maybe
They
he
all
could,
run the same kind of.
Maybe
team.
he
No,
could
no,
get
no.
some-
I actually
Joe,
think it's complex.
One thing
but
I noticed when I went to the game, Brady's going 1, 2, 3, and he's throwing to a hash mark, and that's depending on when the receivers go to the line. There's 3 different plays
That's
in their
right.
head where the defense is
Yeah.
lined up, and if it's B2, they're supposed to go out 5 yards and take 2 steps to the ball. And Brady, you notice he throws the ball before the guys make the cuts.
Yeah,
You don't
Timmy's
see a lot of
totally right.
quarterbacks do that. Brady's throwing to a spot, and you better know your route, boy.
Well, that's a great point, because it's not in Bill we trust, boys. It's in Brady we trust, right?
Yep.
We trust Brady right now, and he's the reason that if we go far into to this playoffs this year, not because Bill we cannot trust. We cannot trust him with personnel moves anymore. That has been proven, boys. How many second-round top picks do we have to cut? How many poor trades do we have to make before you guys get shaken up enough to
Different
admit
way
it?
to look at
that
this,
Bill
Scotty.
Belichick is far and beyond seeing his finest stage.
This all comes back to-
in his profession.
But is
Jimmy for a second.
Oh yeah, we'll get back to that
No, but
eventually, right?
seriously, would you agree?
But is it Belichick? Is he brave enough to admit he makes mistakes and cut guys? Do other teams take a guy in the second round? He shows up in training camp and he stakes
Yeah.
the place out, and they go, "He's a second round pick. We got to keep him."
No, all he wants to talk about
No,
is
look,
the 7th round
he's-
pick or the non-drafted free agent that he's.
He only
has-
coaches players he likes. He says.
He has missed on a disturbing number of draft picks in the last 3 years,
Yeah.
and that is going to come back to haunt us. I agree.
talent
I
drop.
don't. I can't
Never
argue with
mind
that.
all the picks we've been.
There's a
we've
lot
lost out
of
on.
we've lost out on, and we've traded them, and all this other stuff. But he's missed on a disturbing number of. We're talking second, third round picks, and right now, because of injury, our 2 first rounders
Disturbing.
are questionable.
But he hasn't missed on a lot. Some of them are doing very well for other teams, like Dominic Easley with the Rams and the
Jones.
Jones with Arizona. You know, both of them are
How did
leading.
Collins do? How did Collins end up faring?
He's been fine.
He's
He
been
hasn't
fine
great,
there.
though.
Two
But
studs.
You can't
Jones
be.
and Collins
You're never
right
going to be
there.
a star in Cleveland.
So, boys, it doesn't bother you that a Landon Roberts will be seeing quality time on the
Yes,
field?
it does.
Does that not tell you a little bit about what the defense looks
But
like?
it's no. See, this is where I've been acceding to you a lot over the last 5 minutes. I don't think we know what the defense is going to look like. It's possible that a Landon Roberts is going to be in a position to succeed last year in a way that he wasn't last year. This year, when he wasn't last year, when he was asked to wear the green dot and be Dante Hightower. If Dante Hightower is being Dante Hightower, it could be that Roberts finds a role for himself.
I know, but
It's just entirely possible. He's a second or third year player.
Russ
Those
is
guys
right.
improve.
Remember the Super Bowl when they moved to Hightower? They swapped Hightower and Roberts. All of a sudden, everything worked.
Right. So let's at least if the last year's of Landon Roberts is playing linebacker
positive
this
talk,
year,
Scotty.
no. Will I be happy? No, but it's a different team. It's a different defense.
Let's
see how he plays.
Is football defense can be played without great individual talents.
Right.
If they
He's
play
been doing
as
this for
a
years.
cohesive
You know,
whole.
I don't want to bring high school sports up, but my son played on the state champion Milton.
There you
Blades.
go.
There we go.
And this coach that they had a very small, fast team this year. He completely changed on how they play it. You know, they had a big team last year. They just used to run over people. This year they were small. He used to kick the ball down, have his speedy guys get on and get it. So I think Belichick, you know, speaking of this guy Roberts, he might do a couple of things good, and Belichick hopefully will just put him in a situation where he is only counted on to do those two things.
Oh,
that he
for
does
God's sake. That's fine if we want to be the Cleveland Browns guys, but you guys have the expectations of going to the Super Bowl and winning the Super Bowl. Not only, the problem with Landon Roberts is that shows that we also have no linebacking depth at all.
That again, I will give you that,
give you
right?
that.
I will give you that. I'll give you the wide receiver depth. I will give you the linebacker depth. If Dante Hightower goes out again or plays poorly this year, this defense is going to be in the same amount of trouble it was last year.
And the problem is, Russ, that like you had in the Super Bowl, what do we have in our defense? Special teamers are now going in. The Flowers and the Vandermoses of the world are playing defense, and we know how that turns out.
And the Nate Ebners and that, they're all. And if anyone gets hurt, Matt Slater, him of the one catch in 10 years.
Right.
One thing we're not talking about, this running back,
Sony Michel.
This kid, Have you watched highlights of this kid? He's a freak, man. He has the potential to kind of change the way the Patriots play. They haven't had, at least from what I've seen on film, a running back like this in a long time.
Yeah, well, we have to see him on the field first.
Yeah,
I
want-
mean,
yeah.
that's I
Have
agree
you seen
with
his
you.
highlights from college?
Right.
College is one thing. The
I
NFL
know.
is a whole nother
Well,
story.
he plays in that SEC, which is a pretty darn good
Yeah, look,
league. And he tore it up.
We mentioned last week
He
one
was
thing that
the
will be
number 2 back.
One thing that'll be
Pretty good.
really interesting is, do the Patriots change the way they play offense given how woefully shallow they are at wide receiver? Brady's 41, and they do have a bunch of running backs in an offensive line as a good blocking offensive line. We could see them go back to a running.
A lot of screens.
And
a lot of
Tom's never
screens, a
been
lot of
shy
running
about
plays.
checking down to a
Yeah.
run play.
That'll
He
be
doesn't
interesting.
mind if
Look,
he sees
if
it.
you're trying to complement a shaky defense, what are you going to do? You're going to go out and run the
you're
ball,
gonna
play
ball
ball control
control.
offense. They
Absolutely.
don't have anybody who's a deep receiver. We could see them really go back to that dink and dunk
Dink and
running
dunk.
game, and which
Yeah.
wouldn't be bad.
They're in a down
right, we got
defense. They'll
Gronk.
run them.
Right.
All right, boys. Well, we have obviously the whole season to talk about the Patriots, but we have to go to the records, the predictions this year. I'm going to hold off on mine. Joe, what will the Patriots do? They're playing a 16-game season. And I think you
Yes,
know
they
that.
are. And I'm thinking along the lines of 11-5,
11
winning their division, but unfortunately not going to the Super Bowl.
Okay, losing in the AFC Championship.
Yes, I'll go with the conference championship they lose.
Okay.
They win one game and then in the playoffs.
Okay, make sure to get this tape, Russell.
11-5, weak conference. I think they win the AFC Championship game. They go to the Super Bowl, and why don't we leave our Super Bowl picks until they're
Okay.
there?
All right, Timmy boy.
I'm exactly where Russell is. 11-5. I don't see, we have blemishes. Do these other teams have more blemishes?
Yeah.
I think 11-5 and a coin flip for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So you literally, the three of you, have the same record. Oh, good God! The Patriots will be lucky to go 9-7. That's, of course, if Tom
Tape
Brady
this, tape
stays
this.
healthy. And the Patriots will not make the playoffs. Okay?
How about
The Patriots
how
will
about a
not-
pick on what happens
And this
in
will,
San Francisco?
this will be the
with
most
with the
frustrating
future.
season. And the fact is that there'll be chants in Gillette Stadium by November.
Led by
Let's go Celtics. Let's go Celtics. I have
I thought
seen
you
it,
said,
boys.
Bring
let's
back
go Jimmy G.
Jimmy.
The
Bring back Jimmy.
franchise is over.
As a,
Yes,
as
there
a,
will also be calls
just
for
as
Jimmy
a,
G.
Just as a public service announcement, this is the same man who said after 10 games of the Major League Baseball season that JD Martinez
who
sucks.
cares?
He's a
Oh, my
flabby non-athlete.
God's sake. What
So-
does that have to do with anything? We're
Same
talking
man
about
that
this
football,
goes to
right?
the-
Holt
And
all
again,
year.
I took J.D. Martinez's call too early in the season,
Yeah.
and he thanked me
I'm
too
sure he
for
did.
inspiring him.
sure
but
he
at the
did.
very least, well, the Patriots are big frauds this year.
So wait a
This is
minute.
gonna
So
be
you're
a very
saying
unentertaining season.
So you're saying 9-7 in not making the playoffs.
Not
Just to be
making
clear,
the playoffs.
9-7 not going to make the playoffs.
What do you think will
The
happen
Jets?
out in the city by the bay? there?
Who's going to win the
What's that?
AFC East? Have you figured that one out?
I think the Dolphins or the Bills will win.
Okay.
Absolutely.
groaning from the entire
Seriously,
the entire
boys,
building
really,
is groaning.
because
I heard it.
unfortunately you guys can't see it, the future, and I
Okay.
can.
You know what that groan I
It's
just heard?
I should have brought the hat.
That groan I
should've
just
brought the hat.
heard reminded me of when Marcus Smarts pulled up to take a three, and the entire guard said no. 17,000 people said no at once. That when
Are
he
you
said
gonna-
that,
are
No,
you-
what do you think? It was never going to end?
Are you
All
gonna-
dynasties end.
Are you-
not
guys.
ending until Bill Belichick
It's-
and
Says
Tom
it
Brady
ends.
part ways.
Oh, that's you guys just.
Are you going to
I
put
can
Are you going to
understand
put
that.
your money where your mouth is?
Absolutely. I'll
Okay.
put. I'll
He's
put,
on his way out to
I'll
Vegas.
put
for
Joe's
the-
money
You're
where
going to put your money on the Bills or the Dolphins?
What's that?
You're going to put your money on the Bills or the
I'll-
All right,
Dolphins?
we're gonna talk after.
We'll talk
put the
after.
Jets-
I need college. I need
All right,
college
boys, we gotta
tuition.
go. Want to thank the boys. Want to thank everyone behind the scenes. Of course, the lovely and talented Adrian, handsome Todd, and William the intern. Please check us out on our website at thegrandstanders.com and tune in again next Wednesday night at 6:30 for another edition of the Grandstanders Live. I'm your host, Scott Kerman. Have a great and happy night. I'm Scott Kerman. Have a great and happy night. The elephants are in town.
Here comes the circus.